The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. It's actually morning. Don't worry about me. Good morning. My name's Peter Blash, and I'm with Maverick Mentoring. And together with Lorraine Pirahi, we're bringing you today's webinar. Lorraine, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
There you go. Alrighty. Okay, so before we start, I'm just going to do a little bit of housekeeping.
Hello.
Yep. All right, so the best way to get the most out of this session and for the webinar is to make sure that you've got any programs connected to the internet. Just turn them off, emails and that sort of thing. It works for two reasons. One, it keeps you focused, and two, it doesn't interfere with the audio quality of the webinar. This webinar will be recorded and it will be available later on. However, we want to make sure you get the most out of your experience while you're here with us. And so we really like you to be active participants in the webinar. Lorraine's got some great info and some great learnings for us today on the 6 steps to boost your productivity and profit. So at any time, if you've got questions, just type them into the question box and we'll answer them as we go along to make sure that we're keeping up to date and really serving you to make sure you're getting the most out of the webinar. So like I said, my name's Peter Blash. I have a business called Maverick Mentoring, and I work here in Melbourne and all over the place working with business owners, helping them to improve their business. And Lorraine and I are doing a collaboration here where we're sharing our knowledge and sharing our time together. We go back a bit. We have trained in the same place for the coach training, and then we're at the same stage of life too, aren't we, in terms of baby boomers,
Yep.
doing business together and building a legacy and making something that has purpose and meaning for ourselves. But enough about me. Yeah, so Lorraine, introduce yourself and have a chat to everybody for a while.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Yeah, enough about you. It's all about me today, isn't it?
Absolutely. Go for it.
Welcome, everyone. Yes, my name's Lorraine Pirahi, and I've, been in business now for a total of about 15 years. And prior to Relaunch Your Life, I actually was in a business. I had a business called the Productivity Queen, and I used to help small business owners get organised, and that covered a heap of different things. That covered everything from time management to mindset to business, and just a whole range of things. But basically what happened to me over a period of time, I got tired, worn out, and over it, and which can often happen. I noticed from a few of the people that are on today's call that when you particularly if you hit over the age of 50, you can often get tired, worn out, and over it. And I thought I was the only one at the time, but no, apparently not. It happens to a lot of us, but often people don't do much about it. They just try and, get through it all, but then don't really come out that well at the other end. So for me, I ended up walking away from business, and that was not so good at the time, and worked for people for a while there, and that was shit. And and then basically I got to a point that I just couldn't stand it anymore, and I just felt like I had to come back into business, and I created Relaunch Your Life, helping other baby boomer business owners who are tired, worn out, and over it too. However, today I'm really going to focus in on some of the common things I find. Oh, that's a little bit about me, guys, by the way. Peter's sort of controlling the slides at the other end, and we had a little discussion about when things would happen, and obviously I've jumped the gun. A little bit about my background, productivity.
It'll be fine.
I'm organised and I'm planned, but I'm not a detail-itis person. I like to make shit happen, and Peter's great because I'm sure he makes shit happen too, but he's way more detailed than I am, which is great for him, good for me too. So, so my background, I am a productivity specialist, so time management and organisation is my forte. That's how I really started out many years ago. Always been a very organised person. Unfortunately, I can't say the same about most other people. But present company accepted, of course.
Of course.
And and I'm also a business mentor and coach, but different to Peter. Peter's a business coach, but we work very differently. I'm also a life coach as well. So I look at the personal stuff that's going on behind the real problems. Also speak, and I've written the book, and you can see that there, Mind Your Time, 50 Ways to Succeed in Business and Life. So that's a little bit about me. As Peter said, if you do have any questions, any burning questions, feel free to put them in the chat box, and we'll endeavour to address them as we go along. I just want to start out by saying I can give you, and I'm going to provide you with tips, tools and strategies that actually work. This stuff works. I've worked with hundreds of people over the years, and I know stuff works. And the thing is, will it work for you? Well, if you actually do it consistently, yes, it will. But if you just take the knowledge and think, well, I know that, but you don't actually do anything about it consistently, because most people aren't consistent, you won't get the results. So you've got to take action on these things. If things are working well for you, you keep doing it. And if things aren't working well, you need to start looking at doing something else. Otherwise, it's like that, what do you call that quote? Definition of insanity is continuing to do the same thing, expecting a different result.
I think that's a good point you made there too, Lorraine, is that it is just taking action, and it's taking small steps, and it's being consistent in what you do. Because if you want to be an expert, spend 30 minutes a day doing that one thing. Like if you want to get through a lot of reading, 30 minutes a day, every day, will put you in the realm of an expert if you want to master a topic. And it's that small steps continuously that really makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, they just get too overwhelmed. They try and take too gigantic a step instead of one little thing at a time. It's like, because I'm very big, and my background also is fitness. I've got a fitness background, and I do practice what I preach. I often see people poking and prodding at that area. They go on this diet, that diet, and the other diet for 5 minutes. They'll try this training, that training, the other training, make it all up themselves and last for 5 minutes, and they're still no further along the way. They take on way too much all at once, and it's just one little piece of the pie at a time, and then you go and add something else. You get a little win, then you add some more to it. And I think a lot of people get scared. They're scared to make decisions or try something in case they fail. Well, hello, don't be in business then, because believe me, you're going to fail heaps of times. But hopefully, over time, was that not true?
Oh well, it is. Yeah, you don't know what you can do until you fall down and start again. Sometimes.
Exactly, and there are ways and means of doing things better the next time around, as long as you learn from your mistakes. Sometimes you have to learn a few times before you realise, well, hey, that's not the right direction to go in, and I need to do something different. So getting back to the topic of 6 steps to boost your productivity and profits, we may go off. We're not really going off track at all, because it's all relative to boosting your productivity and profits. But just coming back here, and I'd like to, Peter, if you can just put up that slide. We're going to do a stock take of where you're at in your business and life at the moment. So you guys can see that on screen now, and we will send you a copy after the webinar so you can keep it on file. But I want you to have a look at those 2 wheels there. So we've got a wheel of your life. So, and it's 2 circles. And if we look at the wheel of life, we've got, I'm just describing this for those that aren't on the webinar or are actually listening so they can't see anything. So we have one section called health and fitness, another one's wealth, relationships, business, and your personal development. That's your ongoing growth and development. Now, if you were to actually mark yourself on where you rate yourself, with right in the middle of that circle, non-existent, dead, nada, nothing, which hopefully you're not, and rate yourself on your fitness out of 10, and you can just write this down on a bit of paper with you. By the way, I hope everyone listening to this or on this webinar has got paper and pen to write things down, because if you're not writing things down, you're going to forget, because we have 50 to 60,000 thoughts a day go through the brain. So how on earth are you going to remember at the end of this webinar all the top tips that, been shown today? So rate yourself on your health and fitness. When I say rate yourself on it, just because you're standing, breathing and all that, it doesn't mean you're fit and healthy, okay? What do you proactively do to take care of yourself? And if you're not proactive, you're going to be reactive. So where would you rate yourself out of 10? I would rate myself probably around about an 8. That's because that's an area I pay attention to in my life. For you, that may be a bit different depending on where you're at. Wealth. How would you, what would you rate yourself as far as your wealth? Are you on track with, you don't have to be $2 million in the bank or anything like that, but as far as your wealth is concerned, how would you rate yourself? This is all about you and nobody else, not comparing yourself to anyone else. How do you feel about all this? So where would you rate? Your relationships, particularly your personal relationships. So your significant other, if you have one, and your kids. How would you rate yourself? Because a lot of people just don't pay attention to those areas. They're too busy working to pay attention to what's right in front of them. So have a look at where you would rate yourself there, and also now your business. What's happening here? We're just joining up the ratings, if you can see that on screen. How would you rate your business out of 10? Where are you tracking in there right now? Not where you were and in your heyday and your glory day and where you'd like to be, but where are you right now? So we're doing a reality check. And personal development, what do you do to learn and grow? Obviously, you're on this call because you want to, learn and grow, which is fabulous. What else do you do throughout the year on a regular basis to develop your mind so that you're thinking differently and you can manage life better as well when you're more personally developed? And I say personally developed, not so much professionally developed. That's another scenario, doing the thing you do, like, learning about the coaching or learning about being a fitness instructor or whatever it is. I'm talking about the personal side, your mindset, because that affects everything you do. So if we have a look now at the second wheel, which is specifically around your business, where would you rate yourself? How good do you feel you are, or how proactive are you in your marketing? How would you rate there? Most people don't do much at all, and they're hoping business just runs through the door. So where would you rate yourself? Staff, if you've got people working for you, what's the quality of your staff? Have you got good people working for you? In most places, your staff, if you've got people working for you, they are your greatest asset. And unfortunately, most business owners do not take care of them. They think of everything else except of the staff, and they have to be your number one priority. So have a look at the next part of the wheel there, which is your operations. How does your business operate well? When you do have business, can you run it effectively? Can you send out the goods effectively? Can you produce the service effectively and timely? And the other area we're looking at now is financial. How are you tracking financially? Are you actually making money, or are you losing money? A lot of business, particularly when they start out, actually lose a lot of money in the first couple of years because they're constantly investing and reinvesting back into the business. And then there are other people that buy into franchises and licenses and spend shitloads of money, and to recuperate the thousands and thousands of dollars that they've invested, they actually may never do it. And others could take quite a few years to recoup the investment. But how are you tracking financially in your business? And strategic planning, what is that? Some of you may ask. How often do you plan what you're going to be doing? A lot of people don't even plan what they're doing the next day, let alone the next week, month, year, 2 years, 3 years. Sometimes for most people, 3 or 5 years down the track is way too far ahead. What are you going to achieve in the next 6 months or next 3 months? Have you done any strategic planning around that? So give yourself a rating and then join up the marks you've got on your wheel. And how does it look? How's that wheel looking? For most people, those wheels could look quite out of whack, and if they're actually on a bike, you wouldn't be going anywhere fast. The way the way you spend your time, energy, and money on them, and you'll find that the common denominator here, when you look at the two wheels, is exactly that. The areas that are working well for you in your life, you've done something there. You've done something well. You've done something right, and chances are you've invested your time, your energy and money into those areas, and that's why they work really well. And the areas that aren't doing so well, you haven't. That's the bottom line. You haven't paid attention to them. And you find one of the common things that I find with people, of course, your mindset is very crucial as to how you think, but what's also very important is your organisation, your planning, your time management. Most people are not well organised, and they waste their lives away on things that don't even matter and not getting results. And it's so simple to tweak what you're already doing to really make a big difference. And I'm going to show you that today. So we're going to get on to the 6 steps to boost your productivity and profits. That would be the next slide, Peter.
Yep.
And the key areas here, this system I've actually created over the years, and it's the first area is free up your time for what matters most. That's something we're going to cover. The next one is getting the right team in place. Master the skill of productive marketing. Number 4 is staying on track with efficient systems. Number 5, focus on creating wealth. And number 6, and really this is the most important, make yourself and time with your family a priority. So these sort of 6 key areas we're going to address on today's call. So, go Peter, you're going to say something?
No. I'm just waiting for you to keep going. That's good.
Okay. All right.
I'm following the slides.
Okay, thank you. So, by the way, if anyone's got any questions, please put them in the chat box, and as I said, we'll endeavour to address them. So, the stuff that I'm going to talk about is going to be really, really simple, and I've addressed it all in my book, Mind Your Time. But it's going to be so simple, in fact, you're going to be kicking yourself as to why you're not doing it. Well, there could be many reasons why.
Yeah. And I read your book a while ago, Lorraine, and it's really good. The advice you give is straight to the point, very succinct, very easy to read. And it's not just knowledge, it's easy to implement. It's there, and it's a great encouragement too. So I totally enjoyed the read. And if anyone's on the line who hasn't read it, I strongly encourage you to get a hold of it because it is worth the read. So thanks for that.
Oh, thank you, Peter. Yes, so the stuff's simple. You don't need to go off and find some bright, shiny object to buy. This stuff actually works if you actually do it. So first things first, and that is you need to free up your time for what matters most. You've got to clean out the clutter, the physical clutter and the mental clutter. The average white-collar worker, now you guys aren't average, you're above average because you're in your own businesses, but the average white-collar worker spends at least 6 weeks a year looking for stuff. 6 weeks a year. Now that's time you could be spent on a beach in Hawaii, that's time you could be spending marketing, that's the time you could be spending on your health and fitness. You could be doing lots of more with your time, and simple. Clean out the clutter. A messy environment creates a messy mind. You feel busy before you've even started doing anything. It doesn't give you a good look. People hide amongst their clutter. It's really fascinating. One lady I was coaching in her own financial services business, she worked from home, and she felt she'd buried her true self amongst the clutter. Like the real her was hiding in there, and she really felt like she'd deliberately done that over the years because she really didn't want to show who she really was. It's fascinating stuff, but it's well worth just cleaning it up, because it really has a big impact, not on obviously your physical environment, but your mental state as well. It will stop you and prevent you from making decisions and moving forward. So that's a key area, and you don't need to do it all yourself. There's plenty of people out there you can pay to come in and help you clean out, like professional organisers. They'll come in and help clean out all that shit and sort it out. In fact, I've referred clients to different organisers, because sometimes you can have tasks that are just so overwhelming, so daunting, so far gone. You are so far gone, you're never going to pull yourself out of that mess, and you need help. So clean it out. That's the first thing. So that's if you want to free up your time. And if you really want to get your time organised and on track, you've got to plan for it. You've got to use a diary. You've got to use a scheduler. Whether you're going to use a paper diary or Outlook, whatever you choose to use, you need to plan what you're doing and when you're doing it. Just that tip alone is gold if you follow up with what I've just said. Do you find that, Peter?
Yeah, it is. That looks like my brother-in-law's desk. They had a massive clean out just the other day, but they used to live in that and couldn't get anywhere. And he was saying, just caught up with him on the weekend, he was saying exactly that just by cleaning up the space, they actually threw 200 books out that were lying all over the place, cleaned up a whole lot of clutter, and now they're way more productive and a lot more focused because they're not being distracted with everything else that's around them.
Exactly. And that's just one little thing out of many things that we're going to talk about today. And again, it's all these little 1%ers that make a massive difference. And that's why, again, something like the clutter is interesting, because once you clean it up, it's not gone forever. You've got to maintain it. And that's why it's really important you schedule time, you manage your time effectively, you use your diary to allocate time to get the things that matter most to you in that diary. So if your health and fitness, say fitness is one area, because eating and all that doesn't take much. You just got to plan for it, right? You got to organise it well. You got to plan for that in your diary. Have a schedule, have a routine. See, most people don't seem to have a routine, so therefore they can't consistently and automatically just go out about their day and make things happen. That's the thing that I've observed the most, and I'm quite fascinated by that people tend to just get up in the morning, apart from the basics of going to the toilet and doing their tea. That's about their whole plan routine for the day, just that morning bit, and that's it. And then they turn up at their business and anything happens because they've got no plan, no organisation, and no follow-through.
And a lot of that is commensurate with the results that they get within the business too then, isn't it?
Yeah, so, and I probably would have brought this up a little bit further on, but, people, rushing off in business on all these bright, shiny objects, because I really have a, you know what I mean? Well, maybe you don't know what I mean, but a lot of people tend to rush off to this seminar, that seminar, and the other seminar to help get their shit together, so to speak, but they don't even do the basics. Going to get a pretty website, more social media stuff, more internet marketing stuff. You can't, and you just can barely rock out of bed in the morning, and you've got no schedule, and you're not doing the basics and following up on the people we've already got and all those simple things. No amount of other seminars and investing thousands and thousands of dollars in other things, if you don't get the basics in place, even if they do work and you actually, by some freak of nature, apply them, it's all going to come crumbling down on top of you because you haven't got your foundation in place. It's like you want to build a house. I'm just thinking that's what we're doing at the moment. Now, if we haven't, dug up the land and set the footings right and got the plan in place properly and just shove bricks on top of the land, it's just going to come crumbling down, and that's what happens in business as well. So things I want to share with you about free up your time for what matters most.
Yep.
Clean up. Use a diary. I don't care you can use electronic if you want to. I still stick with paper because it actually works, but it's up to you what you want to use. And then plan everything. Plan when you're going. Plan your meetings. Plan when you're going to go to the gym, plan when you're going to go shopping, plan when you're going to follow up with your clients, you know, plan everything. Otherwise, if you don't, every day is going to be, you know, going to be the same, hectic and stressed out, and you'll go down eventually. When I say you go down, I'm not going to take you down. Your house will give way eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, moving right along now, the key area in business is not trying to do it all yourself. So you've got to get the right team in place. You can't be everything. You don't have all the wherewithal to be everything. I just want to share with you that having been in business, you know, I mentioned I was 13 years in business with the Productivity Queen. I knew what it took to get back into business again. I put it off for 3 years, trying to go and work for someone and do other things. I didn't want to go back into business because I knew what was involved. I just didn't feel like I had it in me, the energy to do it again. And when I finally did, because I was just got to a point I felt so mediocre and shoved in a box, I just had to jump out and do something about it. I knew what it took. So I made sure, whether money or no money, that's never the issue, because you'll always get your investment back. I made sure that I found the right coaches, and not all of them all at once, that I had the right coach or mentor to help guide me, because I could not do it all on my own. And then, you know, when I had to, you know, you had to set up a website, and I used a virtual assistant to help me do stuff like that, because I'm not a website person. I mean, if I got sucked into doing things, all these detail things that I hate with a passion, and I'm not good at anyway, I would have burnt myself out really quickly and just given up. And I think that's what many business owners do. They try and do everything themselves, things that they're no good at whatsoever, haven't been to learn how to do these things, and try and work it all out for themselves. In fact, I see a lot of posts on Facebook and in, you know, many of these business groups, people wanting to know how you press this button to do that in WordPress and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh my God, when do you ever get any work done? Because you're too busy doing all this other stuff, which you obviously is not your forte. That's not what you went into business for in the first place. So get the help you need. And I notice here there's a few people from the financial services sector on the phone here. And in your industries, you know, financial planners and mortgage brokers in particular, you guys, a lot of you guys are working on your own, doing everything yourself. Now you can't, and it shows, because every time I've invested time, energy, and money into, you know, working with one for, you know, various purposes for my own personal life, they're so disorganised because they can't keep up with everything. They don't follow up on time. By the way, guys, it's not just your industry, it's many others. And they're obviously doing everything themselves. You've got to do what you're good at, and you find other people to help you. I'm not saying every tiny little thing, but you really do, because you're doing yourself a disservice, and your time is much better spent on the $100, $200, $300 an hour tasks, not the $20, $30, and $40 an hour tasks. So find the help you need and get over yourself, and because you don't need to learn it all and know it all, and you don't. Full stop. You just don't, because no one is a perfect human being. Right. Do we have any questions so far?
No, we've got a quiet group today, so just type in there.
Yeah.
If there's anything you need clarified, any questions that you've got, guys, just type them in as you go. You'll see on your dashboard, on the panel on the side of your screen, there's an area where you can type questions in. So if there's anything that you want to ask Lorraine as she's going along, feel free to just jump in and type it in, and we'll ask as we go. There was one question I had for you, Lorraine, was, well, there's kind of two. You know, you talked about getting back into relaunching your life. What for you was the defining moment for you to decide to get back into business after everything you've been talking about?
Oh, this is so funny. I mean, when I look back at it now, it's like, oh my God. In that period, a short period of time, I thought I'll just go I'm not going to answer that directly, so I'll be a female and just go off track a little bit.
All right, I'll keep up.
Guys, bear with me. There's some guys on the line know how brutal I can be, but I'm going to be female at the moment. What happened when just to let you know, when I finished Relaunch Your Life, ended up going into business with my daughter, and we created a rugby league academy called Scrum Nation. It was fantastic. Lots of great things happened, and it was helping boys succeed on and off the field through rugby league. A business with passion and enjoyment, but no money. Lots of things happen, and after the end of a year, we had to call things quit. So much had happened, and all the odds were against us. And it's like, oh my God, now I've got to get into employment. Well, when I say I've got to get into employment, well, I've got to do something with my life, and I do want to make money, and I do need to make money, just like anyone else. I want to do something that I enjoy and feel useful. So I ended up working in about 3 different areas: real estate, youth services in the justice system, and also as a youth consultant with kids falling off the rails. And also, actually job services. I had about three or four different roles in a very short period of time, which is typical of my history because I'm an entrepreneur. And I don't, I'm a high achiever. And you know what? But when I find something I really like my business, 13 years, that's a long time, you know? So it met my needs. But what happened was, and for those of you on the line, some might be able to identify with this, I got sacked 3 times. And how could that be, someone like me getting sacked 3 times? Well, I kept under the radar. I became as mediocre as I possibly could to fit within the system, and it wasn't good enough. I was not mediocre enough. And I didn't arc up like you may think I might arc up. And because I just wasn't mediocre enough and asked a couple of questions, people didn't like it. And the way the business world is structured today, or the world of work, they hire you on contracts and get rid of you just like that, and there's no real recourse for the employee. So anyway, cut a long story short, I got to the point, it's like, fuck, I'm not doing this anymore. I've had enough. I just can't stand anymore. I'm too bright and brilliant for this shit, bottom line. And then I came across, I went back and did some study with the Coaching Institute because I really love what they were doing there and the support and everything. And that gave me the confidence within a week to start Relaunch Your Life. So
cool.
I got to the bottom of the barrel. I couldn't stand it. And that's what got me into Relaunch Your Life.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thanks for that, because it's always interesting to know what is the defining moment and what is it that sparks somebody into taking back the reins of their life more so than letting somebody else dictate, when they're going to work and how much they're going to earn and all of that sort of thing. And it's that passion that you've got that really comes through in everything that you're saying.
Yeah, thank you. And what I wish for when I look back in hindsight, I mean, hindsight's always great later. We all wish we did this, that, and the other. I could not find, at the time that I was feeling I was losing my passion, I was just over everything, I could not find a person that would resonate with me who was a business owner, who was a life. I really wanted to find someone who had that, the mindset stuff, the life coaching stuff, a business owner, a female who was sort of, for me, who was sort of in my age group, because we go through a different phase of life after 50, and kids going off your hands, and a whole range of things that you start looking at. And I wanted to find this one person who had these experiences that I could go to and just say, here, look, this is what I got. Chuck it at him. Help me here. But there was no one, and so I had to do a lot of soul searching in other ways, and that's how I sort of pulled myself out of it.
Oh, that's cool. Okay. Oh, that's good to know. Thanks for that.
Yeah, so getting back on track now I'll come back into the male scenario and stay back on track. So that's about me, but what about you? Let's focus on you and the 6 steps to boost your productivity and profits, and we'll get back to one of the basics of the basics in business that people aren't doing. They're not doing the basics of marketing. they're doing everything else but the basics. So let me share some of the basics. Number one, first of all, know what sort of people you're targeting. Who do you want as your clients? Have an idea, because it's very hard to target everyone and hope that it will stick. It just doesn't work. Look at the clients you already have. Even if you've just started out, you may have only had 1 or 2 clients, but have a look at those. And are they the sort of people that you want? And then where do these people go? How do you go and meet them? You've got to have a look at these sorts of things so that you know what to do with your time, energy, and money, And if you've been in business for a long period of time, again, look at your database. You must have a database with all the names and people that you've come into contact with that have been clients, might be past clients, and do something with them. Keep in touch. Send an email out once a week, once a fortnight with tips, hints, tools. Send out an exciting Easter card to them. Do something on a regular basis, because most people take your money and run. And so you need to stand out from the crowd, because you want people to think of you, and when the time is right for when they need your product or service, or a friend talks to them about something and they just say, oh, John, yeah, he's really great. He was great when he did our mortgage or whatever, and a great service. You want them to think of you. So, but how do they think of you with this 101 other people to compete against you? So do something and stay in touch with them. And what you could do, which is what I often suggest to my clients, and I do this myself, I do a survey. I use SurveyMonkey, and you'll find if there's people on the call today, I'll be doing another one. I do about 4 a year because they actually work. Asking people a lot of questions, or not a lot of questions, under 10, and offering a bonus to go with it, because people won't do anything for nothing. You've got to give them some incentive usually. And just a quick survey, just picking up on their pain points, and just seeing how you can help them. So sending out a survey to your database, and then following up with a phone call, because I'll tell you what, your whole database is not going, you might send out, 500 surveys, you won't get 500 surveys back, guarantee it. So maybe you only choose like 20 people at a time on your database, and they're your high caliber clients. Do a survey and then follow up on the responses. I think the follow-up is crucial. It's one thing doing a survey, but then following up afterwards. And I find I'm still following up from a survey that I did in January to my database, and still picking up business from it. So it actually works, and it's such a simple thing to do. It costs you no money, and it works. So a couple of things here. Look at the clients you already have. Stay in touch with them. Talk to them. Send something out to them on a regular basis. Have a little nurture sequence. Like my nurture sequence for my whole database is the words of wisdom, just a little tip that goes out every week. But it keeps you top of mind in people's minds. So something simple like that actually works. As I say, most people do nothing. Just choose one thing to do and then do it consistently, and you'll be amazed what happens. I had one client, he'd been putting out an e-zine to his clients. He's had quite a lot of clients. He was in the equipment hire business, and finally got him off his butt and sending it out. The first e-zine he sent out, it wasn't all about him. It was just stories about clients that other people could relate to, and he had a call to action at the bottom. And the first one was an order. After the first email went out, he ended up with an order for $20,000. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get $20,000 order when you do your first one. You just got to be consistent. But you don't know unless you get it out there and be in people's faces. So you can do simple, low, no-cost marketing, but you just got to do it. And that's why you got to plan your time and be effective.
Yeah, I like that, Lorraine, because it's about connecting with people, isn't it? It's not just having a very plain experience on the, online. It's actually connecting and having a conversation and and letting people know that you're interested and that you care.
Exactly. When's the last time someone contacted you to, someone you've invested some, money with, as an example, and it could have been some time ago. When's the last time they actually got in contact with you to see how things are going? Financial plan is a good one. I never hear from the one I particularly got unless I'm proactive with them. I have to be proactive. Why should I be proactive? Well, it's my money, so I'll make sure I am. But, hey,
Yeah.
they should get off their butt and do something to earn their money, Okay, so the next area we're going to talk about, we've spoken about the basics of marketing. These things work, by the way. You just got to actually do it and consistently so that you get a result. Next area is focusing on creating wealth. What do I mean by that? Well, often people are too busy being busy. I don't know what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, but they don't even pay attention to their own personal finances. Have you had a look recently to see where you're at? You might have superannuation. Is it in the best spot? Do you need to see a financial planner, or maybe you need to have your mortgage looked at to see if you can get a better rate? See, while you're busy out there working, you often don't pay attention to what you're supposed to be doing it all for, and your money could be working much better for you, or you could be in a better financial situation if you just stopped for a minute and had a look at what you could be doing. So, for instance, what we've done, and this has been a project on the boil for a period of time, in our personal situation, finally, and it's taken a long time, but it's happening now as we speak, we've knocked down our home and building two townhouses next to each other. We're going to keep one and rent it out. Now, that's a big project, right? And it doesn't just happen overnight. We actually looked at doing this nearly 5 years ago, and it's not until now, 5 years later, has this idea, this thought, come to fruition. It's actually happening right now. So things take time. Sometimes just because you want to change direction and make some big changes now, to actually make those changes and to consolidate or whatever it is you need to do could take months, even a couple of years, to turn things around before you can actually get started on a particular project you might have had in mind for the future. So you've got to start now and put things into action. Otherwise, it could be too late. By the time you decide, oh, well, now's the time we need to, I don't know, move the family home, sell the family home, downsize, or whatever, you might be doing it from a situation where you have to rather than you had planned for it. And it's so much better when you're not reactive and you're proactive. So allocating time to focus on your personal stuff is really important. So for some people that might just be a Saturday afternoon, spend an hour having a look at where you're at, and then the following week, making a few phone calls, and then eventually by the end of the month, you might have got your plan, whatever it is you're trying to achieve, you might have actually got it started. But if you wait, because now we're up to Easter already, what are you waiting for? The end of the year will be here again very shortly. Before you know it, you'll blink and boom, here it is, and you're still in the same place. So take action now. And the final one is you're the priority. So, if you were a car and with your service history, would anyone want to buy you? In fact, more people actually invest more time, energy and money on their cars than what they do on their personal selves. Why are you laughing, Peter?
No, that was just an interesting way of going, would somebody buy me if I was a car? I'm going, I don't know. How am I running? It's all the metaphors of being that motor vehicle just made me think of a whole lot of stuff then. Just going, all right, maybe I need to tune up.
Yeah, so you were a Ferrari, or are you a okay, I'm not good on cars. Are you a Ferrari, or what's a real slow car? I know they're safe. Maybe you're a Volvo.
Well, given that we're all baby boomers, probably a combi back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. So anything can happen at any time, right? And so if you're not paying attention and you're not doing what's required, your health could just diminish just like that, and you've got nothing, no say about it because you haven't been taking care of you. I remember a while back, a client I was working with, a head honcho in a large organisation. He's now in his own business. But back in the day, he was, I think it was about, when I remember, about 30 kilos overweight. Now, that's a lot of weight to carry, right? 30 Ks. In fact, unfortunately, our society is quite obese, as we all know. We keep hearing the stats. But this particular client, 30 Ks overweight, always busy, busy, busy. You know, all the usual stuff that people tell you, and we're always busy at this meeting, that meeting, the other meeting. Like, really, who cares? Often people are so busy they do that deliberately so they avoid addressing the real issues that need to be addressed. Anyway, on this particular day, he was one of these people who played around at the edges with his health and fitness. You know, sometimes he ate healthily, other times he didn't. Went for a walk here and there. He just played around. He might as well have done nothing. This particular day, he was rushing out the door to head off to some meeting, and he felt a tingling in his finger. And before you know it, he's flat out on the floor, and he was very fortunate that somebody was home because he had suffered a stroke. So basically, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, you know, his whole life changed. He had to turn it around. He had no choice.
Yeah.
So you've got a choice, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that's all about productivity. If you're not fit and healthy, and most people, I'll have to say this, most people aren't, you can see. You see the way they walk, the way they look, the lack of energy, you know, the vibes that come out of them. They're not, they don't inspire you to do anything, you know. They're actually quite draining on energy, be draining on their energy too. And if they're looking like that and feeling like that, then they're not going to be very good in their business. They're not going to be productive, that's for sure. They're going to be tired all the time, and they're just not going to be working on 3 cylinders, let alone 8 cylinders. And hitting, particularly if you're over the age of 50, you're hitting for a disaster to happen at some point in time, and who knows when that might be. You can't afford to do that. And for those of you who have got kids, you know, no matter what age, they're looking at you, and what message are you sending out to them? I mean, you really want to be a good role model for your kids, you know, and if those of you are fortunate to have grandkids, they want to be inspired by you, and if you can't get yourself inspired, you know, it's not good. And it's not good for business either. If you don't look healthy and energized and fit, you're not going to attract business. You know, you might get business, but not as much as you might like. So you say a lot by not taking care of yourself, because it looks like if you don't take care of yourself, that means you don't take care of business either. That's the impression you give out. Whether that's true or not, that's what people see. So I just want to say to you, what will happen if you don't make some changes from some of the things we've discussed today, the things that apply to you? What will happen if you don't become more productive and profitable? And what won't happen if you do become more productive and profitable? Because you can change your life today just by taking action. Just choose one thing from today and implement it. So, do we have any questions on the line?
Janie loved the question about the car. Would somebody buy me if I were a car? Thought that was yeah, but it's a great way of summing it all up. And ultimately, we are a reflection. You know, people will perceive us the way that we project, and it's unfortunate. It's not unfortunate. It's just the way that we're all hardwired. It's how we present that makes all the difference. And so the people who can be really, you know, cover themselves and pretend, you know, and become a great extrovert can, to a degree, have a sign of success. However, it's not a sustainable model because they're not being true at that point to who they are. And the point you were making about making yourself the priority, I think that really just summed it up beautifully. Look after yourself, because we want to be around for the long haul for ourselves and for those that are near and dear to us. And why would you want to run a business if you're not going to be successful at it? Why would you put the time in? So I think that's a great point, to make yourself the priority, because you can enjoy it so much more.
Exactly. And putting the time in, that all comes back to, I said before, it's the planning, allocating time for yourself, taking the time out regularly, and taking great care of yourself. That has to be your number one priority.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So the final word, we've just passed that, Pete. I think I went past that really quickly. Probably the next one would be, well, what to do next? What do I do now? Well, you know you're in a bit of a hole, or you just want to make some changes and you're not quite sure, and you just want to get back on track again, because it's really hard to do on your own. I mean, if you can, good luck to you, and if it works, good luck to you, and I wish you well. But for most people, they can't do it. There's so much to do, and so many barriers that are getting in your way, and it's about your mindset and so many other things as well. But what I would suggest, what I'm offering today, if you want to know more about how you can move quicker and get better results and be more productive, I'm going to actually offer today, if you want to book in for a Boomer Breakthrough session, I've got that on my website. You can go straight to that now. In fact, I think Peter's putting in the whole link there.
Yeah, I've sent that out to everybody now.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And the pop-up will come on my website, a Boomer Breakthrough session. It's for 15 minutes, and there's a quick questionnaire to fill out, and I'll get back to you with some suitable times. And if you do that today, it's only if you're on today's call. What I'm going to offer you as well, I had my workshop that I ran at the beginning of the year called How to Get Your Shit Together in 2016. So what I've done there, I've had that recorded, and it's under 60 minutes actually, of my latest workshop, and that's going to help you get planned and on track for the year. So I'm going to offer that as a special bonus. That's if you book in today for a Boomer Breakthrough session at www.relaunchyourlife.com.au, but the bonus only applies for today. So just remember this, guys. To know and not to do is not to know.
That's really cool. Can you say it again?
To know and not to do is not to know. I'm not sure who said that, but that's always stuck in my mind.
Okay. Here's a comment from Julie that really relates to what you just said. I can really relate to working in organisations for too long. I think the corporate and government world has changed so much since the GFC. I think I stayed too long. I'm now in startup mode after 3 decades in organisation.
Well done, Julie.
Yeah. But it's great to have that point of realisation and just doing. Just get out there and do it.
Exactly. And get out there and do it, but you want to do it in the most effective way possible.
Yeah.
if you can. So a lot of people in startup often, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, we've all done it. We just do what we think we should do, what we know, and you soon find out that on its own is not enough. You do need some help and guidance. Otherwise, you could blow yourself out and not continue on doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've been...
Thanks for having me, Peter.
That's my pleasure. I was just going to say that having a coach and having a mentor, for me, I've done business for a long, long time, and I coach and mentor people, and I have coaches. I don't presume that I know everything, so I make sure that I have people that I'm working with that can help me and move me along, and I know you do the same. And
yes.
I think there's a point in any of our journey in the business where you can say, that's it, I don't need anybody else. I've got everything, because we don't. And so you made some really good points about, working together and having people on your team and with you, and just making sure that you are connected, because it makes such a massive difference to business. And so I really like the points you were making and all of that, because I found it to be the mainstay for being able to run a business and to be successful in it. So thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. And getting connected to the right people as well, because you'll often find there's plenty of people out there who'll give you free advice, but that can be more confusing than anything else, and they don't know you well. They don't have often the expertise to help guide you, and if you go running off on all different tangents, again, you come back to that point where you'll just blow out. You virtually blow yourself out of the water again and become overwhelmed and stressed out. So getting the right help for the right area is really important, and I couldn't agree with you more, Peter.
Yeah, so that's why I reckon your Boomer Breakthrough session is just brilliant, because it's going to do that for anyone on the call today. It's really going to make a difference to every one of us to be able to have that time to sit down one-on-one with Lorraine and just get those questions answered and find out what it is you need to know. So you've got the link, and I'd encourage you all to click it to connect with Lorraine, and I'm sure she's going to send some emails out to you after the call to let you know what's going on. And that slide as well, the handout, will be available. So there's lots that she's got to give you. So I just strongly encourage you all to, get on board and take advantage of what Lorraine's offering you today, because it is brilliant.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. Do you have a final word for us, or are we wrapping it up now?
I would say, I'm just laughing. My final word is just get off your butt. Get off your butt and take action.
Brilliant. Love it. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for being on the call. Thank you, Lorraine, for sharing this hour with us and giving of your wisdom and certainly of your time, and really appreciate that. And so on behalf of myself, Peter Blash, and Lorraine Pirahi, thank you, everybody. Thank you for attending, and look forward to connecting with you again. Good morning, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.